Can I get everyone to stand and we'll do the pledge of allegiance? Michael, would you lead us, please?
Actually, I'm gonna ask the captain, would you lead us off, please, to the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you so much.
It's fun.
Oh, I do apologize. Yeah.
Oh, we gotta tell them about it.
I do apologize. I apologize as well.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right.
Well, I welcome everyone from our summer recess, even though we're still in the middle of summer. We're reached the halfway point of hurricane season. Knock on wood. We will be spared again this year. Things are looking promising. We have a full agenda tonight. I want to thank the board members for their participation during the summer, the board meetings that we had. The ones that came out for our last social event, very well attended. We had a fun time. If you missed it, we encourage you to attend the next one. We're working on it, planning it as we speak. So more to follow on that. With the agenda being so full, we're going to keep moving at a fast pace tonight. There's going to be a lot of good information from developmental services, talking about mixed use, talking about the prevent processing for land use and the notification process that the commission has been asking for to be looked at. We have Laura Reese, who's the director of OMB, Office of Management, Budget, Finance. She's going to give us a quick update on the Budget Act portal, that survey, and then we're going to have a presentation on the new convention center, representatives from the Convention Center Bureau, Visitors Bureau, the Omni Hotel, which is the new convention center hotel, and also the contractor who built it. I know the district board president's got a tour. I heard it was well received. And if after tonight's presentation, we feel like we'd like to have more of the neighborhood presidents go through that, we can arrange for that to happen. So with that, I'm going to turn the floor over Captain for the police department, give us a quick update and talk about what's going on.
All right, hi everybody. My name is Sienna Greenlaw. I'm a captain with the police department. I'm currently assigned to Police District 3. Yay. So that would be your south end, Los Angeles Isles, all the way out west to 441, and then all the way south to the airport. The first thing that I wanted to share with you guys is we are putting together a connection or a line of communication rather between the police chief and all of the HOA presidents. We want to streamline the way that we communicate, share ideas, share different projects and things that we're working on. So the way that's going to look is it'll be on a bi-monthly basis where the police chief will meet with the individual police districts, their HOA presidents. So it'll be able to share with you guys things that are going on. You'll have first-hand information, and then you'll also be able to submit questions or concerns that you have that we'll be able to look into prior to the day of the meeting. So you're not presenting a concern to us and we say, well, we'll get back to you. And then you don't hear back from us for another month, say. We're going to do our very best to look into your concerns that your neighborhoods are experiencing and provide you with that information right off the bat. The next thing that I want to, and all that information is going to be shared with you. We have the distribution list from Stratcom through City Hall's PIO team. We will get that information out to you, but I wanted to take the opportunity while you guys have the meeting tonight to be able to share that idea with you. There's oftentimes where communication is broken or it's not streamlined, mixed communication, it's messages, and we want to try to tighten that up a little bit, but we also want to offer all of you that direct access to the police chief all at once, because one of you may have a question that might actually be a concern of another neighborhood, and we can answer that together at the same time and at one time. And then lastly, which I'm glad I have our neighbors from the convention center here, I want to share with anyone in my district near 17th Street and the convention center about the big event they have coming up this weekend with the Jehovah's Witness conference. there's gonna be about 16,000 guests that they're expecting. So traffic is gonna be a little bit congested, and I just want you guys to be fair and warned about that. They do have deputies that will be working traffic detail. They will be directing attendees to the different locations that they've secured ahead of time for parking. So there is a plan in place. You're all communicating behind the scenes. But I wanted all of you and your residents and visitors to be aware that it is going to be heavier traffic than what you're maybe used to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a follow-up to what she said about the district commanders meeting with the chief and the district neighborhood HOA presidents. Currently, there are only 3 police districts. So, but we have 4 council districts. So I will see Joe working with our recording secretary and webmaster, putting a list out so that if you are District 2 Mission District, but you might fall into District 3 Police District. We are working closely with the new city manager, the chief. They would like to get a 4th district at some point. It's all based on budget needs. But we support 4th district concept, but it's going to take an additional 70 officers probably to do it properly. And that's a big budget item. So we're going to be working, but that's not going to happen overnight. So please pay close attention, and I'll be talking with her, and we'll get that schedule and get it up on our website, and we'll publish it in our newsletter. Thank you. I have next up Jim Etzel from Developmental Services. Jim, you're looking very dapper tonight, as always. As you can see on the agenda, he's going to talk about the amendments to the ULDR. Basically, it's the permit and processes to align with the state review timeframes. And he's also going to talk about the mixed use and fire that just came out from Stratcom about community meetings. These are 2 different items, but they're important items. The first item is always been concerns about the 300 feet publication and how they get notified of zoning hearings and everything. That's what he's going to talk about, and then the mixed use and the buffer zones and all that. I explained. Okay. But he'll go into more detail. So Jim, the floor is yours.
Evening, everybody. Jim Hetzel, school planner with Developmental Services. I did go on a tour of the hotel. Did a chance on tour. Go. It's amazing. Unlike anything we could have seen. Level of the panoramic bar restaurant that you can see from the west all the way to the port. So if you can do it, I highly recommend it. Great space. So as Bill said, I'm here for 2 reasons. There's 2 sections of code that they are looking at doing amendments to. The first one is to our development process. This is to align with the state requirements. We have to review applications in a certain time frame. We're updating our code to match that. And we're also looking at this commission request for review period. It's shrinking that time frame down from 30 days to 7 business days. Those are like, I'll go into more detail, but that's just the overview. The other component is 4718.21, excuse about. I was here, I think, in March, giving a presentation on that project. Since then, we've had some things happen. Initial public outreach, we got some feedback, and so our commission moving forward on amendments now prior to the completion of projects. So with the development permit process, I'm going to talk about the background of what I got here. With code language, to review flow chart, so to see how complex our process is. Our changes to our internal procedure, and then questions and comments before I go on to the next section. So as mentioned, Florida statutes, Florida passed a law back in 2019, and all applications need to be reviewed against the time frame. Quasi judicial, which requires public hearings, have to be completed in 180 days from the state meeting. It's not quasi judicial, it is 120.
So, excuse me, Jim, some people are having a problem hearing you. So sorry. If you could speak a little louder. Thank you so much.
It's very unusual, usually really loud. Yeah, so we have, the state passed a law that's, we have to review development applications in 2 timeframes. Quasi judicial is a public hearing, an application that's subject to public hearings. Has to be completed in 180 days, which would be deemed complete. Non-quasi has to be completed in 120 days, but we can, so these are timeframes that we do not have in our code today. Yeah, we're putting into our code to this amendment process, we align with the state requirements. We get an opportunity upon submittal of an application to review it for its completeness. Once we deem it complete, the clock starts ticking. But sometimes applicants do not give us everything we need to do a review. They have 30 days to address it. And then once they resubmit, we have 30 days to look at it again. So there's some time at the beginning to work out all that. So we make sure all applications are staffed and reviewed. There is a mutually agreed upon extension that can get done. If an applicant needs more time, we work with them at least more time. And the other aspect of this change is the commission's time for review. Because of the time limitation, especially the quasi judicial commission looks at, there wasn't enough time for the commission to call an item up because that 180 days was approaching. And that became evident with the project that happened, Sunrise Intercoastal, Stage, about like last fall, when that presented itself to the city commission, they couldn't call the item up because they were precisely consent. So we looked at that, shrinking that time down from 30 days to 7 business days, which did not tell us what this is, we get it on. There's just quick bullets of what the amendment includes. Now we're going to require preliminary meetings, which we did not require before. Like I said, the application submittal process, everything we need. We got revised timeline, extensions. They also have process a waiver. The applicant is not comfortable with the time frame. They can process for waivers in time frame, which then releases a limitation. The denial of application is also a little problem for us because if an applicant fails to respond to comments, fails to provide us with resubmitted plans, the clock is still ticking. If they're quasi judicial, we have to put it on an agenda to deny it, which is a whole animal that we've never dealt with. Usually don't do that process for the denials at a public hearing. This has been problematic for us because we've got to push applications through with waivers and sometimes acting so with a skill waiver. So we're getting a handle on that, how that's reported, how it goes to our board, and how it goes to our commission, and it's a denial. We also have a new requirement of the design review team. Any applicant that wants to deviate any of our master plan areas, that includes downtown, South Andrews, our uptown area, they have to go now through a design review team. And that team decides whether or not the deviations are justifiable. We didn't have that before, so it's like an extra layer of professional review by the planning staff. Also, public participation, we added a whole new chart in there, note table, so everyone knows both the community and applicants the notification requirements upon applications notes. And then obviously the mission request. So this is a short version of our process. So you can see it's very complex. It's just the key points of what everything is done. Every application goes through from the top left all the way down to approval. It is a complicated process. We are a complicated city, complexity, lots of things going on, but lots of steps that need to go through the process. Get reviewed thoroughly before staff moves it on to the process that needs to go to for approval. By the time you go through all of this, say it's a quasi judicial item, it never gets done in 180 days. If it gets done in 360 days, you're lucky. So that's double the time that the state law requirement. So that's just kind of put it in perspective of how complex the process is. What we're adding to this section is notification requirements for the civic associations. This is when an applicant submits an application, it's required to notify the neighborhoods. Will now have to follow this chart that's much clearer based on their application type, what they're subject to. Notifying before the meeting, or GFC, each meeting. This is an easy way for applicants and people to understand if they notified you or not, based on the application. What we had to do is create a whole new timeline for ourselves. This is a whole new chart that deals with time limits. Staff is going to follow along with applicants. This is complex. Everything, like I said, everything in the city is complex. But on submittal here on the left, time frame go all the way across. You can see all the steps we have to monitor as staff to make sure that application gets through the process. These are all key points of time frames. Each based on submittal deadline. It's complex. Our notification requirements, we're updating all those to align with the state law as well with complete, incomplete, that's missing if they're incomplete. Time frame for them to address the deficiencies. We're cleaning all this stuff up, so we have templates now that we can. A little bit of a time frame here. We've been working on this since October of last year. Drafting the language, reviewing it internally, starting to present it. We are in August right now is our outreach, sharing with you all. On a time scheduled to go to planning and zoning board in September, followed by March. This is a good timeline. I'm gonna pause for 1 second before we go on to the next part. Are there any questions about?
So the question I had was really related to what we were talking about the new denial process. So my understanding is if the developer is dragging their feet at each step on purpose, trying to run the clock down, so that could then result in a denial.
If they fail to comply with the requirements, yes, we
In a
would
timely manner.
If we have some situations where that's gotten very close. And luckily we got waivers from applicants, we explain that we want denial. They have, it's in front of them, that we have to follow that timeline, applicants are not following and following through. So,
But P and Z are the only ones who could deny that, or do you have the administrator?
So our legal department said that quasi judicial items that require public hearings, planning and zoning board items, and commission items cannot be denied by staff. Staff have to go to those boards. Staff can deny level 2 development review committee or integrated amendments. Staff has the ability to deny.
Just go around, we'll go around.
In terms of, neighborhood notification, during that last aforementioned issue in over on the east side, there was a question about how the developer notifies people. And there was a pretty long discussion about whether or not the city was gonna take responsibility for guaranteeing that that notification was delivered to the area president or the nearby neighbor. Is that addressed in this?
So what our process that we follow is the applicant has to show us they notified basically the notification failed. That's what it is. And an affidavit saying they sent it out. That puts them on record and they've done no other follow-up. It's not at this point, we've got told with that, other than our process of verifying that it was sent. There's anything more done.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed. My question was, has there been any movement to modify that and close that question? Okay, thank you, Jen.
So when we go to commissioner public comments, that would be a perfect opportunity.
Some of the discussion I think was having staffs, you know, so we guarantee that.
That was,
We'll go around and we'll get
I
everybody.
kind of had that same question because I know we had a situation where the developer sent it to the post office box, that's Coral. And, you know, people just don't go there every day, so that kind of thing, so, okay. My other question then, is the design review team, who is that? Is that you?
Steers.
It's all the professional planning staff, it's all the staff on together, do by consensus, and we'll talk about each deviation,
Okay,
look at the justification, sending the intent, and then you decide.
oh, it's the group, okay, same thing, it's DRC,
It's basically your station.
okay.
I'm glad to see that you have a form now, which is notice of completeness. What does that constitute? How do we know that you've issued it? Because that starts the process and, you know, it would be nice to know that something has been deemed complete and is starting the process. Can we get a notice of that?
You can, you have to look at that, what we're doing, you saw that timeline chart, we have dates for involving us, so staff is on the same schedule for every cycle. The notice of completeness starts the clock.
Yeah, right.
It also tells the applicant there to notify the civic association of the upcoming meeting dates, those two factors, everything. We just say, notify you as per that chart and they get the letter. We can include letter, we have to talk about internally how that goes to the HOA that's being notified, or we have the applicant send it with their code.
That would be an excellent idea. So we know exactly what the date is because there's a lag. So the date starts with completeness, not when we get the letter. Okay, so
This discrimination starts.
that would be a very good improvement.
So we can include that for the basic notification for those requirements, include their future letter with it, well.
That everybody knows what the timeline starts from. Okay.
Jackie?
Yeah, my questions are pretty much have been semi-answered. On the design review team, is that something that neighborhood presidents and people could be aware of and attend and listen?
So it's kind of like DRC staff review or institutional review, it's wholly different from comments. You would be able to see the comments.
But we can't attend the process.
We haven't talked about, it's not really a public meeting, it's more just internal technical review. The results, I think, is what you want to see on session.
It just depends.
There you go, it's gonna talk, but the results, I mean, we could talk about it, we don't have to go into it right now, because we scheduled it pretty quickly, it's right. Review time frame, it's application to get comments generated, we're on a really tight schedule. So it's hard, when you schedule a service available, the date's gonna change.
The second part to my question is, on the whole process, you have a list of, where the client is or where the developer is, whatever. Is that information that can be accessible to any neighborhood that has a project coming before them, so they can see where it is in the process? How many things they've accomplished, so to speak? Yes, that. A spreadsheet,
The spreadsheet on the flow.
the spreadsheet, so people can
This will
look,
be posted once it's adopted, we'll have this on.
once it's adopted, but not during the process.
This won't change, this will be set for the year, so that we post online, so everyone can access applicants, developers, preparators, associations.
We'll have the development listed, so you can look at the development
No.
that you're concerned about, and see where they are.
That's a lot to manage, like every step of the way, it's for us to stay on top of deadline dates, but to report that for a project. We would have to follow the schedule, we just don't know where, if you call staff, we can tell you.
But you'll have the schedule, correct?
Yeah, but we don't do this for individual projects, this is for staff to follow us as practice understanding. So we won't do this for, like, I wouldn't take one project and follow it, where I would report on it, I would check certain dates to make sure they're following the dates. Like, there's no need to document it, I think what you're asking is the way to look at what project is in each step.
Yeah.
Be documented? Not really. So, but you can call check each step.
Okay, as what she brought up is a very good point. I know there's a lot of questions, so bear with us, please. You have a program that internally, you have every project that's in the system now. Where you can click on that development project, and see the status. Is that accessible to the community, or is it not? Can it be made accessible to the community? Yeah, so that if Mike as Lake Ridge knows that he can go to that map and look at the Lake Ridge HOA neighborhood and click on every project if there's anything going on and see the status.
Yeah, but Tyler, we can critics update the status would be to move it on. Right? I think I can recall how they did.
So we're talking about knowing where our project is during the review process before it's approved, right?
Yeah,
we don't. Right now, we don't have a pretty fair public, but having that information other than all that.
But technology exists that.
I know, why would
Third party, so that system is done by a third party vendor for us, we pay an annual fee to them as a consultant that monitors our steps. So we would have to look at what the contract is us, and pull that in, because right now the contract only do a review. Do the construction is 3 steps and the project status, we can do that in the contract.
Okay, we will make note of that and work with staff.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. You've been patiently back there.
My question is is this going to be for new projects? What about the ones that are in the pipeline already? Are they gonna have to be readjusted to go to follow this?
No, I mean, we're pretty much following this now, it's early.
That would be for new ones.
We're any of them that are in the pipeline right now, we're monitoring based on the same.
Okay, so you've already set this up and
you're using it already.
Yeah, we're using these dates.
We'll continue to go around the table, and then Estelle, and then. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll go first.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry, Laura Evans with Imperial Point, in for Betty. I had a question around the neighborhood notice. And will the neighborhood civic associations, when they do receive a notice, is there an opportunity to have an official comment period specific to that association board? And how will that be weighted relative to the other comments that are received?
When you say comment by the association, you fold it into the technical comments or, because there's.
Or just whenever it's folded into the process to say, hey, the people who are impacted by this, who live in this neighborhood, have offered up our thoughts as a civic association representing those residents.
So the purpose of this notification is that you know that an application is going on a DRC agenda. That's the purpose of it. You're notified the association, let them know this particular application case is moving forward on whatever date. That's when you have an opportunity to start a meeting or reach out to the applicant or respond back to the applicant, asking questions or provide comments to that channel or attend the DRC meeting and provide comments at that time as well.
And Jim, will they have to do a second notification if it's a public participation area?
Yeah.
So
So
for site level 3.
yeah, so this is just notification to you all that an application's been submitted. And it's been submitted and it's gonna go to a technical review meeting, DRC species. The public participation requirements is later on in the process, when it has to go to the zoning board, city commission. That's a whole other public participation step. The applicant has to do, and they have to hold a meeting, they can notify you, they can do a summary of the meeting, and give us the summary of the meeting, so there's a much more intense public participation in the process there.
So every association will have at least one opportunity through the technical meeting to have that. And then for those that do require a public meeting, that's a second opportunity for the association to voice comments. Okay, thank you.
Estelle.
I'm gonna try to formulate all my thoughts here, cause I'm right here. Getting them. So I kind of have like a current use case of this. Thank you for bringing these questions up, Jackie. So just to clarify, when you say, oh, we're gonna get notifications now, if you were on the DRC list, you already, like, anybody can get on it, like, I get the agendas. Are you saying you're just gonna proactively be emailing us that same exact agenda, or is it gonna be? Okay,
So what you get now is from the cities and not the DRC to last week. What this is for the applicant to notify our city, the applicant to notify that the project is going to be on a meeting date. We have to notify you 20
so
minutes.
this is to help the applicants,
This is so you can have communication with them. Once you can.
but that doesn't relieve them of any of their responsibilities for physical mail. That's, I think, what you guys were talking about, going to mailbox.
That's not a public participation, it's nothing more intense, one with it. That's.
So, thank you for clarifying that. So when we dive into like the technical meetings and these more administrative ones, for instance, the city has moved to for instance, the installation of sidewalks, that was a big thing. Where they don't have to go specifically before like Board of Adjustments or things like that, right? So that goes to an administrative meeting now. It doesn't go to something like DRC where there's the public input. In my use case, I'm lucky because the residents in the neighborhood in this particular situation wanted to work together, wanted our input, wanted to save some trees, work together and do some stuff. But I found it very challenging and concerning that, like, I mean, we wouldn't have known that this was happening and it could have had like a very large impact on the neighborhood. And then after the hearing, again, it was, and this is just broadly like for these administrative hearings, which I wouldn't have known of any of this if they didn't have to reach out to us. I asked if I could have what the comments were, and they said I had to wait for the property owners, developers to receive the comments to then relay them back to me as president.
So that process was established through our adoption of code amendment. Commission adopted it that way, the process needs to change, and my recommendation not to be amended. Because we're not directed to change that
That's the process that was created for it, that was adopted that way.
I'm happy with the administrative part, it's just the notification of the neighborhood part that where it kind of goes this way and then we lose it.
Yeah, it still required an amendment to the code,
Okay.
but I know what you're exactly saying, because we just did a couple of them on that meeting. That process would have to get established.
Thank you.
And keep in mind, this is a living document, work in progress, that we still have time then to bring all this up to the commission at the September meeting.
Great.
Robin Lefcourt from Seven Isles. So on the notification of the HOAs, you know, our community is on the intercoastal and sometimes I'm just getting your case point. Sometimes there are things that happen on the beach or in other areas that affects our neighborhood. You know, this building goes up, you know, it's in the sight line of our neighbors. Sage as a key example, there's also another building in the works, a proposed building on the Isle. How is the notification, is it only exclusive to that HOA that the project sits in? Because where my neighborhood sits in and Idlewild and some other neighborhoods of the coastal, I mean, we're affected by development on the beach. And we're affected by development downtown. So how do we get notification?
So the way it's written now, is any civic association within 300 feet of the development site. Sometimes it's just one association because they're located, sometimes it's two or three if they're like on a border of a couple of different ones. It doesn't go beyond that. Adaptive code distance requirement. That would require a code amendment change. Normally, what we do in staff review, when we're dealing with applicants that have situations like that, we tell them to go beyond the neighborhood association. We recommend they contact the ones next to them or whatever the case may be. We recommend that, but we can't require it. It's not the code.
So having that interactive map that someone suggested probably would be really beneficial to.
It could be looking at the DRC agendas, if you get those, seeing the projects nearby, the applicant's name, or what the applicant is, it's listed on there, you get DRC meetings and start that engagement that way. You can reach out to the case planner, there's multiple ways that don't require a code amendment per se, but maybe it could be a different way to reach out. And
I'm going to real quick, anybody's gonna take one more question and
Okay, yeah. Kristen LaFleur from Beverly Heights. A couple of questions. You said there's no opportunity for public, applicant has to let us know when it goes to the development for review. Or they just have to let us know, and there isn't an opportunity for public input until it goes to a P and Z meeting. Right. And that seems like a lot of time.
there's more opportunities in there. I mean, this is the basics of what they have to do, is what they notify the associations. When you receive that notification, my recommendation would be either to come to the DRC meeting or reach out back to them and have a conversation. We as staff can only do what legally we can do. Like in our code says something, we do it per code. We recommend things all the time, but we can't hold the recommendations to that. We recommend situations like that, if we know that's a controversial project, or we tell them to take the neighborhood early. In our preliminary meeting, before we even submit an application, we tell them, have you reached out to the neighborhood yet? Like we encourage all that. When we know it's gonna be an issue or where it is in the city. But after DRC, if it's a higher level review, they have public participation requirements that they have to meet with you. Most applicants I know would probably reach out with me before they even have that meeting. They know they need to resolve issues or there's issues or concerns from the neighborhood. Not all projects do that, but a lot of them do. That's the process that we have.
I have a question. I think something that was just said, I don't know if it's accurate, it might be my lack of knowledge, but when did neighborhoods start having to be informed from the developer that they were going to the DRC? I have never heard of that.
That's a pretty recent amendment in our code.
Okay, that is something now. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, 6 months maybe, even longer now, but yeah, it was something that we added. Site plan level 2, which is 2 is a DRC application, and the regional activity centers downtown here now has a requirement to notify.
Sorry for the interruption.
And have a public meeting before they go. We've never had that before either. That's a new aspect.
And
Okay.
to be clear about that notification, it only comes to the civic association presidents, like
The
No one-
initial,
For the
initial
initial meeting?
notification.
Okay, cause folks should, I mean, I don't have a way to contact everyone in my neighborhood, you know, like, I don't. So I just think that, and I'm a little bit concerned with the idea that we just kind of rely on the developer to say that they, like, that, I mean, I know they sign an affidavit and all of that, but that they've notified people. Because I'm also concerned that like what people send, like I know you can get a copy of it, like, does it appear as an official document? Does it look like something people should?
The affidavit is notarized, so that's what we take as the letting us know that they notified the association at the initial application submittal. Like I said earlier, the public participation aspect is much more intense. But we never used to have this requirement. This is all new. You know, so notifying the association that they've submitted an application that's going to the DRT meeting is very unusual. Most cities don't have that step in the process. It's usually the public participation, which will planning and zoning board or commission. So this FLA at least starts the notification process. And why it's just the associations, I don't know. Why it was, I mean, it was very easy to monitor maybe from the notification perspective. Maybe our applicants pushed back a little bit. I'm not quite sure to work on that amendment. That's what I guess is what happened there.
I know other communities that live in, folks at like the city or the municipality notifies like everyone within 300.
Yeah, my former place did the same thing. We did all the, because they gave it to us, all the paperwork, whatever. We did all the mailings and notices, the signs, everything.
So this is a start. It's a lot better than what we've had. Is it perfect? No. We're gonna ask for input at the commission meeting in September. So we have time between now and September, I think it was 17th.
That's tentatively, I'll let you know, so you can share if it actually gets on the agenda.
And I'll make sure we speak, and any of the home HOA presidents would please join me. I would encourage you that. But it's very important, and I want to personally take a second and say, you have to, as HOA presidents, look at those notices that the city sends out for the Development Review Committee, because under the Live Local Act now, a lot of that falls under administrative review.
That's right.
And after it passes administrative review, there is no call-ups allowed, there is no, it's fair, it does not go to P and Z, so you've lost the opportunity. So to rely on the developer or city staff to make sure, they can't do everything. We have to take some responsibilities as community leaders as well.
Bill, under that Live Local Act, we don't get any notice at all. We don't go to meetings. I've got 5 of them. And if the guy didn't call me, we wouldn't know, nothing.
It's not on the agenda?
Nope.
No. Doesn't have to be.
No.
Bypasses everything, Bill.
Wow, I thought it would be on the DRC.
Oh, no.
No.
We do have it on our administrative staff review. We can talk about internally sending that out to the association.
That would be terrific.
It's the same day as we do our internal discussion for the DRC cases.
Can you repeat that again? Cause a lot of people.
So what we do, part of our process, we have internal review, obviously, all the technical review, we get together, we do that twice a month. And we talk about the DRC cases, and we talk about the administrative, which would be the local ones. That doesn't get published, that's just an internal technical meeting. And we could publish, or we could send those out to the association, so you can see a live local project, because that's what the administrator.
Okay, yeah, but
Thank you very much.
that's really nice, but what do you get? You get an address. There's a project at such and such an address.
You get a case description.
You get a description. Okay, that's cool.
Thank you.
And that helps with actually the sidewalk issue. Because when we do those administratively, they come in and you'll see a sidewalk request as well. So I'll go back and I'll bring this up, internally, and we'll probably, if the bank decision made, we can probably send it out.
Okay, and when you take it back, could you give us a start update of when we can expect to see that?
Next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna keep moving on quickly to mixed use.
And the bill was a good segue into mixed use coming out. You might recall, I was here in March of this year,
Yeah,
talking
what-
about our mixed use project we're working. You might recall commercial corridors in our city, which is all the red on the map here. Regional activity centers are not included, those are the areas in gray, blue boundaries. These are along our transportation corridors, and this is in response to the Live Local Act and some other policy changes that the county has done. What we did initial outreach, we had 8 meetings, including a presentation here, we gathered feedback from the public, and we heard three big concerns from the public. Development, massing and just development patterns and too much development, traffic and infrastructure, and the local act. Those were kind of the 3 major takeaways from the outreach. So what we did as staff is we put together the results, went to the city commission to give a project update, and presented the results of the outreach and said we should do something now, because it's gonna take a long time to finish this project in its entirety. So what we did is we got permission, city commission approved us to do a couple amendments now, quick amendments, if you will, to deal with the local projects coming in that are not subject to certain design requirements, because we lack those design requirements in our mixed use section. So what we're trying to do is create a form-based code which deals with the building form and shape and mass and scale in relation to updating other criteria, which you see on the screen, for the 4 elements of staff proposed to the commission, which deals with the street wall length, street space length, building length, the building podium, floor plate sizes, and residential transition criteria, which neighborhood compatibility. So right now, if the local came in into a project, it's right next to a residential neighborhood, it is not subject to the neighborhood compatibility because of the administrative process. But what we're trying to do is fold that in so they will be subject to it. Well, how do you do that? You do that in this mixed use section, because that's where the regulations will be. We lack those regulations now. So some of the things, to street wall length, this is to control the mass and scale of the building along in the public realm. We're proposing a couple of different things, that length of the buildings, which we don't have a length limitation now, we limit to the 300 feet. Within that 300 feet, with letter A on the screen, within that 300 feet, you would have articulation of certain amounts, which you can see as C and B, B and C, where the building then shifts. We don't have that today. You can get a straight wall down Federal Highway, not have to articulate that under regulations. And then talk about architectural enhancements and features as well. Setback, floor plate, and floor plate and shoulder height, sorry. Those are 3 other items that we're proposing. Limit the shoulder height, which is the wall until it's basically the podium level. Limit that height in relation to the public. Limit the amount, if it's a tower, which we're not seeing too many of these, but there are a couple coming in. You limit that floor plate of the tower, so you have a skinnier floor plate than a big, long, massive wall. And have a step back at the podium level, so that the building will step back from the face of the building, which allows light and air down to the public around the streets as well. We're proposing those distance, you can see the dimension that we're proposing for the step back to be 20 feet, floor plate 32,000 square feet, and a 4-story shoulder height. So neighborhood transition is important. Right now, our neighborhood compatibility section, like I said, does not apply to the local. We're looking at what that area is about a commercial development when it butts residential zoning district, and creating a zone, basically what you see in the blue would be the zone. And how do you transition from the lower scale residential to the more intense buildings as opposed to commercial? What does it look like today? So this is an image that shows the dotted black line and that red diagonal line as where code allows a developer to build today based on the criteria today. So pay attention to the red line because that continues through the rest of the slides. So how it's written now is you have a 15-foot setback. So the property line inward is 15 feet. At that point, you can go up your building to 40 feet. And that 40-foot mark, you do 1 foot for every foot in height increase in the building, which creates that wedding cake effect. So that's how it's written today. We're proposing a couple different typologies, building typologies, because what we're seeing, the applications come in are either smaller scale, like 5-story, or mid-rise construction, which is about 7-8 stories, which is a lot of product that we see now. And then planned if there's a tower that comes in on a project. So we're proposing 3 different building typologies. This is group 1, which is a smaller scale, 5-story kind, where if you are adjacent to residential zoning district, in this example, if it's RMM 25, which is a maximum height of 55 feet, you'd be at the same height as the zoning next to you. Okay. So just as a side note, residential zoning districts that abut commercial development, there's 2 categories. There's those that have higher 55 feet height, and the RF8 lower scale single family that has 35 feet height. Those are the two residential districts, categories if you will, the two heights we're dealing with when you come about the adjacent parcel. Street. So this is group one. Group two. Proposed setback of 30 feet from the property line. Right now it's 15. They would bring the building farther back into their site. Go up, again, RMM 25, so we're talking about 55 feet height on the residential district. They can do 55 feet after they do a 30-foot setback. So we increase the setback. They go to the same height as the zoning, and then they step back the first tier, basically. And that first tier goes back 15 feet at that 55-foot height. And they go up to the next tier. If this is this kind of typology, this building type, this would be up to 8 stories or the mid-rise construction type.
That's a garage on the one corner.
Yeah, it's just an image there, yeah. The garage is facing away from the residential. So the scenario where it's a 35-foot height would be different. 30-foot setback, same increased setback from the property line. 35 feet in height, not 55, because now you're dealing with the lower zoning in the residential. Step back 15 feet, and then you can go up from there. If you notice, the red line keeps showing up in the image, that 45-degree angle, and then there's a blue line. The blue line is typical of a site triangle, basically, of a person standing at the ground, what they can see at a 45-degree angle. It's very typical to use in form-based code regulations to establish height for adjacent properties. So there's 2 measures there that we're using to determine where these buildings should go, basically. So the bigger building, typology 3, this is if someone comes in, has a big, lot depth of 200 feet or more. They have a set, again, RMM 25 as our example, 55-foot height in the residential district. So from the property line, they would have an increased setback of 30 feet up to that 55-foot mark, step it back, go up again to 2.5 times the height of the adjacent zoning. If that sounds familiar, that's what we use for downtown. Transition zones in downtown, which takes them to about 138 feet in that second tier, and then they can go to the maximum height. Now, what plays in this role here is your floor plate sizes. This is just a diagram, cross-section diagram, basically. Floor plate's gonna limit that even more. So when you start to get above the podium height, which is that shoulder height of 4 stories, that mass in the middle might shrink even more depending on the size of the property. So there's all these factors that go into technical review for it. We're also proposing a frontage zone. We realized we needed to deal with the street frontages. Now, this is challenging in our cities because we don't have jurisdictional control of all the roadways. It's either FDOT or Broward County. Placement of street trees is always problematic. If there's utilities underground, utilities overground, it gets very complicated. We thought you need to just have a basic frontage zone that deals with development, that deals with sidewalk width and street trees. And to make sure that we have enough space from the property line over into the private property, so we don't have to deal with the agencies anymore. It's complicated. This way we ensure we get street trees with canopy coverage and we ensure wider sidewalks. So there's 2 zones depending on the width of the street. Zone A would be any street greater than 100 feet in width, cross section. They would have a 10-foot wide sidewalk requirement and a 10-foot landscape area with a minimum that street tree be placed 4 feet to the road, which is a standard that a lot of the agencies have. So this way we guarantee we get street canopy trees in the city. Zone B would be if the street is less than 100, it goes down to a 7-foot sidewalk and an 8-foot planting area, so trees, so it's just a little bit. Still get those 2 components of a wide sidewalk and an area for the street tree. Some other cleanup items we're gonna be doing, single use, there's a reference in the mixed use that allows single use residential, which is counterintuitive if you think about it. It's supposed to be a mixed use section of code, so we're taking that out. You can have a single use building as part of a mixed use project, so that's a horizontal situation where it's all not in one building. So we're gonna clean up that language and we're gonna deal with the affordable, the local projects and making it applicable to them. I look familiar with the same timeline we're working on the state review. We're here doing outreach in August. We're shooting for September. These amendments to the planning and zoning board, followed by, these are target dates, they're not guaranteed, but that's what we're shooting for as far as timeline. And lastly, Thursday, August 28th, we are having a working community meeting about all of what I just presented. Anyone who's interested, there's a flyer that we're handing out. It's gonna be at Development Services Building at 6:30. Yeah, 6:30 on the 28th, Thursday night.
And we will send that out, communicate this out before the meeting. We're running real time, we'll take a couple.
only in person, or is it also gonna
It will be only in person, and then we're gonna record it and post it afterwards, but it's not gonna be live.
Is it in the normal room where like DRC and stuff is?
It's in the lobby. Main lobby. Of the building. You know, it's-
That might not be big enough, if enough people know about this meeting.
Quick questions.
My question is that part of the changes you're proposing are also in front of the Center City Redevelopment Authority Board, of which I happen to be a member. And we have a voting change which will include most of Northeast Fourth on both sides, which are in South Middle River and all the way up. And this seems to be not exactly what was decided by the board.
So this does not include Central City. Only the red areas in red, you can see Central City is part of the area that's in gray.
Okay, but that includes Northeast Fourth.
Outside of Central City, yes.
Okay, but that was also included in the resolution that we approved back in February.
Beyond the Central City boundaries. I think yes.
In those boundaries which are
Oh,
proposed.
in the yes, so we're not including Central City. It's a project that they're working. It's beyond that.
In the
boundary.
Northeast Fourth.
If you're Northeast Four, outside of the Central City boundary, this is included. If you're
Okay, so
within,
you're talking above
Yeah.
14th Street.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, around there.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, everybody.
Jim, maybe. The best way to follow up questions, just to email you or call you.
Email's fine.
Everyone, if you have follow up questions,
I can share this with Bill, so you guys.
yeah, and we'll get it out.
That would be good.
Figure it out.
We can put it on the website, put it on the website.
Yeah, we'll post it. Okay, very good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
And Tyler.
Next act, Laura Reese, Director of OMB, State Finance, and tough act to follow there, but.
I know. Thank you, Jordan, for getting me set up. Good afternoon, Laura Reese, Director of Office Management and Budget. First, I want to thank you all for being civic leaders in our community. The work you do is so important on behalf of the city. I'd like to thank Bill for inviting me tonight. He's also chair of our Prestigious Budget Advisory Board. And at our last meeting, we talked a little bit about the balancing act. So he thought this was a good tool that would maybe benefit your communities. So we're going to show you that. Public engagement is so essential in the budget process. So I believe as community leaders, probably most of you have watched or participated in some of the meetings to date. We in the month of June, we get preliminary values from the property appraiser, and we take to the budget advisory board those amounts along with the recommended or proposed preliminary budget to the commission. So that was presented in the month of June to the commission. And the reason we do that is because in the month of July, they set those maximum millage rates and the values that go on your trim notice. You all can get very excited because the trim notices were mailed today. So check your mailboxes. They should be here, they should be in your mailbox sometime this week. On those notices, all of the rates that were set by your mayor and commission in that June 30th meeting will show up along with the public hearing dates. The two public hearing dates that are set are September 3rd, and those are for millage rate and budget, and on September 12th, that's going to be all of the non-ad valorem rates, as well as the second hearing of the millage and budget. So mark your calendars for those dates, 5:01 p.m. at the Broward Center. Those meetings will, on the 3rd, it'll happen directly before the commission meeting, and on the 12th, it's a special meeting because of deadlines that are set by the state where we have to have all the non-ad valorem back to them by the 15th. So it's actually a Friday night this year, so it's not a night we would typically choose, but we have very limited dates. So again, September 3rd and September 12th, and watch your mailbox for your term notices. But today, what I'm going to be talking to you about is an online tool for public engagement. And, you know, we know that not everyone can show up at all these public hearings and all of these public meetings. One of the things the Budget Advisory Board has asked us to do is we now we've now published all of the BAD meetings and the recordings on our website. So if you want to watch any of the Budget Advisory Board meetings, they meet 14 times a year. So there's a lot of content to review there. I really do believe they're the hardest working board in the city. In addition to those 14 meetings where they're meeting with department staff and city staff, they meet 3 times with the commission, and they're the only board that has pre-scheduled 3 times a year check-ins with the commission to speak about, you know, concerns about the budget, progress with the budget. So a lot of those meetings will provide transparency to what's happening with the city's finances. So in addition to the posted Budget Advisory Board meetings, obviously you're welcome to attend, but you can watch those afterwards as well. And those 3 joint meetings with the commission. There's an online tool that staff rolled out several years ago, but it's always important to remind everyone that it is available. It's called a Balancing Act. And this one. So a Balancing Act is an online budget simulation tool. It's on the city's website under OMB. And it's really, the intent of the tool is to allow you to engage with budget information kind of on your own terms at home, and to look at what the manager is recommending by department or, you know, by area in terms of revenues and in terms of expenditures. We try to break it down to key what we call decision packages. So we have current service level budgets, and then each year when departments are preparing their budgets, they're trying to react to community concerns through community surveys, through the commission goal setting, by creating, they call them decision packages or service level changes, where they're targeting homelessness by doing certain things because the community has concerns about homelessness. And so those decision packages are outlined in Balancing Act, and we're showing you the enhanced service levels that are being recommended, or if there's any changes to service levels. So that's what's provided in this tool. And it also allows you to view the complexity of some of the revenue sources and expenditure sources. An education tool as well as an engagement tool. And I told this it's already open. That's good. So I told Bill I'd be very brief because you could spend a lot of time in this school. But I just wanted to kind of let you know the basics. So this is the general fund budget. And so it's going to start out by studying, it says your balance, right? So you start out with a balanced budget, which is what city staff recommended in the proposed budget. And then on one side, it shows spending. And then on the other side, it's revenue. So the tricky part here is you're only allowed to submit if it's a balanced budget or if revenues exceed expenditures, because we want realistic input. We can't just add, you know, all of the expenses without a revenue to support it. So if you're going to submit, which we hope you will, please make sure that your revenues are either equal to or exceed expenses, because that's what it will require.
So that's what I call the 14-minute or 14 meeting color sheet. It's like a color.
Right, so I'll just dig into one area. So if we want to look at community services department. There's like a little information here. You can click on that, it'll tell you what the department's about. And then it'll tell you all of the decision packages that were proposed during the year that are being recommended. So at this point, everything is showing as approved. So this one is a municipal services affordability program. I think this is a really great program in the city. I'm not sure how you all feel about it. It's appropriating in the budget $150,000 from the general fund for when people have trouble paying their utility bills. So the city will now have a process to take in applications, and there's limits to the program. And it's partially funded through grant funds, but the city's recommending $150,000. And so this will tell you a little bit about the municipal services affordability program and what that would do. And then if you were like, I don't really think that's a good idea, you could hit no, and that'll give you some money to spend somewhere else,
Okay.
right? Or, and so at the end of the day, you kind of weigh in on the programs that are being submitted. Do you like it? Do you not like it? And then if you want to fund additional things, additional department expenses, you would have to add to either property taxes, and it lets you add an expense. You can add, additional property taxes or additional fire assessment fees, like how would you like to pay for it if you wanna add additional services? And then at the end, so right now you have a surplus, so that's where we wanna be, right, in the green. So at the end, you submit, and then it has you put in your district, your email address, and then that'll be logged along with the other information that we received from our community. So, so far this year, and we're gonna share this with this budget advisory board tomorrow night, we've received 1,350 page views. So a lot of people are interacting
Okay,
with
that's
this, really
good.
learning about
That's very
cities
good.
budget.
I'm gonna go back
102
and forth.
hours were spent on the site, so that's like a real level of engagement. And only 26 people submitted though. So a lot of people are spending time looking at the city's budget and interacting with it, but only 26 people submitted. So if you spend the time on here, if you could submit it, then we can record the comments that you have. And it also allows you to submit, comments about the different ways of the budget. So we're hoping that you find this a transparent tool, that you share it with your communities. And if you have any questions, I'm going to.
And this will be up and live until the September hearings.
So yeah, so September 3rd is the first public hearing, so in order to do decent data analysis, we might close it like the Friday before, or maybe a week before September 3rd, so you have a few more weeks to engage.
Okay, good. Cool. It's a good game. Thank you.
Is it okay to the question?
It's only this.
So
There's
in
two
the
of them.
comments section, the bubbles, those comments are sent to the report and provided to the decision makers in the commission, or do we still need to go to the public hearings to put our comments in?
So the comments will be summarized. So for example, for tomorrow's presentation, we said, there's some feedback that, for the city provides better transportation services and they'd like to see enhancements in these areas. So we won't have like your exact words, but we will summarize the feedback as a part of like grouped results with the commission. And you're welcome.
Well, thank you. Oh, one quick question.
Laura,
Yes.
on that website, is it also there where the department submitted what they requested? Department, is that information there as well? If you said that, I was way back.
It has what is being recommended.
It's not,
Yeah, it is, but if you were to look at the preliminary budget, or the budget package that you all received, so the preliminary budget would have all of the requests in it, but only the recommended requests are shown here, just to focus in on what's being recommended for service changes.
So preliminary budget is on
It's also on the website.
website for one of the meetings, or it's actually there?
Yeah, so if you just go to the city's website and
Right.
search for preliminary budget, it's gonna take you to the Office of Management and budget site. And what that includes is for each department, the level of analysis that goes into with us. So like for the police department, it would show every single decision package that was submitted and requested.
Okay.
This would only show the ones that the city managers recommended as part of the balanced budget. Yes.
And also, I already played with that some time ago, and for example, if there are some issues that are fixed that you cannot change, they will not allow you to change it. For example, with police and fire, there are certain issues that are, like their salaries and pensions are locked in, and some debt
Sure.
obligations are also locked in.
Yeah, there are things that
Yes.
we just can't change because they're bargained.
But it's
Yeah.
a really good tool, go spend some time with it because it's really informative. It's sad that only 20-some people submitted comments.
Oh,
So we
well,
have-
20 people submitted, they're the ones who submitted the balance edits, yeah.
Okay,
Well, thank you, Laura.
thank you.
Thank you for everything that you do.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that Laura had, not only is Laura, but her staff, they are a stellar team. They're very dedicated, they work very hard, they work closely with the Budget Advisory Board. And we ask good questions, they have good answers, and if they don't, they get back to us. And I'd invite you to attend a meeting and see how business is ran. It's very good, thank you.
Laura's just a nice person.
By the way, and by the way, thank you for stepping up and serving as an acting city manager for a time.
Thank
You know, when we're going through some transition. Okay, if you did not sign in, reminder, please sign in. Pratt, I will let you talk about the new convention center and introduce the team that you've invited.
Sure. My name is Christina Raju. I'm with Ellison Further, working with Dalford Lee, who is a contractor for the Broward Convention Center and the new Omni Hotel. I'll have them go through and kind of do a construction update, and we'll turn it over to the Omni Hotel and Convention Center to talk about what's to come. So,
And this was a P3 project or?
this was not, they
Okay.
can talk to you about it. This was not a piece.
Design build, so lacking the finance component, but I guess we were.
It was design build.
Design build, on time and under budget or on
On
budget?
time, on budget.
Yeah, which is something unheard of in government.
And a $1 billion project in your city, the largest, Broward County building project, you know, of course, airport, seaport, but a building project.
Okay.
Quickly, just to introduce the two of us here, in the ones that's in the room, following, my name is John Pearson, Vice President of Operations for Falcon Construction.
Tom Stedham, Project Executive, on the Broward County Convention Center job, a resident of Imperial Point, been there since 2017.
So I wanted to say first, thank you for allowing us to come and speak to you. Thank you for those that got the firsthand view of the tour. If you didn't recognize me, I worked in the booth. I mean, that was all the garb and the dress up a few weeks ago. So I'm going to give the floor to Tom. I'll be the MC here for a little bit just to go through the slides. Tom has firsthand knowledge of the project and we'll walk you through that.
Yep, so history of the job, in case you guys aren't familiar. Started design 2018. So design build meant that we were hired as the contractor, but also we hired all of the design professionals to work underneath us, which consisted of roughly 25 different sub-consultants, everyone from the architect of record, structural engineers, civil engineers, everyone that's involved with the design. The reason for that, one of the benefits of design build is fast track delivery. It allows us to typically get the initial phases of the job designed to a point where we can start construction as we're still finalizing what I would consider more of the finishes and interiors, things that that are lagging behind the rest. John, I don't know if you want to go to the next slide here. So the project started in 2017, end of 2017, and it really started with a piece of paper. The county had an idea that they wanted to add a hotel to the property. Obviously, the convention center's been around since 1989, which is when our firm, Balfour Beatty, formerly known as Centex Rooney, prior to that, RJ Rooney, who's been in South Florida since I believe the 50s, actually constructed the original convention center. So kind of nifty as we're going through some of the archives, finding names of individuals that still worked for our company when we started this job. And so we're hired in 2017 and we start with what does this project need to look like? That involved roughly a year of engagement with early programming design, interviews with the convention center staff, interviews with some of the shows, the boat show, home and garden show, some of the larger shows to get an understanding of what was it that everyone was looking for out of this property. So through the progression of that design, and you can kind of see how we're structured here, there was multiple phases of how we approached how this building came to be, how the project came to be. So stop, wait, get the feedback from the stakeholders, progress the design to the next level. And at a certain point, we were able to start the actual construction and expansion of the existing convention center. So what that really entailed is the first phase of construction, the first contract was issued, and that was roughly the beginning of 2019 that we actually started with the early phase work while the convention center was still open. And roughly October of 2019 is when Convention Center had their last boat show for that year. We were able to actually start the demolition of the existing structure, and we built that through 2019, 2020. COVID obviously worked through the challenges and how we were going to navigate. We kept the workers safe through that progress. And October of 2021, the first phase, which was the expansion of the existing facility, was completed, and the boat show happened that year. So really 1 year, the boat show had to be relocated off-site while we were doing that initial phase. What happened during that phase as well was the initial planning and realignment of the property to get ready for what phase you guys are going to see here in the photos now and what is about to turn over here in the next few weeks. What that meant is we had to demolish portions of the existing convention center. The main, we like to call it the heart, the brains, the real controls of this building. So the FP&L vault, the central energy plant, how all of that was fed throughout the building. And we relocated it up onto the third floor of the new expansion. I say that because we essentially took all the expensive equipment that would take a lot of money to replace, a lot of time to procure, and we moved it up so that in the unlikely event that there's some type of flood, storm surge, being right next to the intercoastal and the Port Everglades inlet there, that property should hopefully be protected from some type of unfortunate event in the future. Along with that design for the initial convention center phase accounted for what we were going to be building in this current phase, which is redundancy of power, generators. The facility, if you guys are not aware, can operate 100% of its electricity, its air conditioning. It can be used as essentially a shelter if needed.
That's where I'm going.
It powers the new East Convention Center, which when we get to the photos here, I'll kind of explain the different phases. And we made room for the hotel, right? Because of the footprint of the hotel and where that needed to be located on the property. So this is really just to explain to you, it was multiple phases, multiple steps over the course of the last 7 years that got us to the point where we're now able to turn over the property here in the next couple of weeks. If you're familiar, been on 17th Street anytime within the last 3 years, you probably noticed a big blue building that's come up. That is the hotel. It is 29 levels of occupied space. There's a level 30 with the roof, but 801 guest rooms. Really from levels 11 through 28 is where the guest rooms are located. Level 29, I think someone mentioned, is a rooftop terrace bar that it's got some pretty incredible views that everyone should be able to appreciate after the hotel opens, should be open to the public. 1.3 million square feet. That does include the internal parking garage that houses for all of the guests that will be staying there. Combination of post-tension concrete and conventional structural steel, so a little bit of a hybrid. If you guys are in any way interested with the construction technical stuff, come grab me after this and we can talk about it. But you know, pretty unique structure with it being a hybrid in that respect. It does have 2 ballrooms, a junior ballroom and a grand ballroom within the hotel itself, meeting space for conventions. So not just the convention center is going to have that ability, but the hotel itself will. You have an all-day dining, which you think of kind of your breakfast, lunch, dinner, resort type restaurant there. A sports bar with 2 golf simulators in it, so you can grab a beer with your buddies and go hit some balls. And then it also has an amenity deck on the 10th level, overlooking the plaza area, overlooking the intercoastal stuff. again, different phases, there's some rough numbers of what was spent on the design, our initial phase of getting the foundation package put together so that we could start with that early work. As I mentioned, start earlier if you have the initial design for those early packages done before the finishes and things are selected. But again, just eking out on some construction stats. The other large phase of this project, we call it GMP4. Again, the contracts were broken out, but that is the east expansion. So again, it's driven by on a boat on the intercoastal recently, or even over the bridge. That's the larger glass box looking component. So that again, it connects to the existing convention center through a sky bridge. All of the power, the air conditioning, the chilled water for the air conditioning is all fed through that existing convention center tie-in. So again, that initial phase got ready for this current phase. Again, this building 100% redundant on power. If in the event that we lose power from FPNL, it has generator power backup as well. 400,000 square feet. This was a conventional structural steel building. So again, not that common in South Florida. A lot of it is the concrete, but conventional steel. This building really comprises of two major ballrooms. The grand ballroom being the showcase of this property, 65,000 square feet. The reason it's so unique is up until I want to say 2023, maybe Orange County, I think, heard rumblings of what was going on, and they built like a 67,000 square foot ballroom just because that apparently it's very competitive in the convention space to be the biggest, but it overlooks the intercoastal. This is a showcase space. I mean, everyone that has walked through it, if that wasn't part of the tour, I don't think.
Yes, it was. We saw it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, it's really a showstopper. So you have the large grand ballroom, 65,000 square feet. You have a junior ballroom as well on this property, a multitude of additional meeting rooms. It adds additional administrative space for the convention center staff. Another main kitchen that can serve both the east expansion as well through the sky bridge and help support the existing facility as well. 7-acre plaza open to the public. It's going to be able to house outdoor events as well with, if you're familiar, the boat show and their large tents that they bring every year. We've actually, part of the design and construction, factored in foundations for those. So rather than having to do a temporary anchoring system, it's going to be a quick come in, put up your tent. It's going to match the design of the tent, the size of the tent. It also has power and water accommodated out in the plaza, so they'll be able to plug in and not have to bring out the large generator trucks and things like that. It's really geared towards being able to host a multitude of different types of events out in the plaza. And again, should be open to the residents to be able to utilize and take advantage of that intercoastal view. The CVB building, Convention Visitors Bureau building, that's the smaller 3-story building right on the corner of Eisenhower and 17th Street. So that's going to house the new offices for that group. 3 levels, 25,000 square feet, post-tension company. More geeky construction information along with some of the dollar figures that it took to get to the overall construction value.
Okay.
Lots of work there with contracting. It's kind of remember, as Tom mentioned, there were some people that were part of the team, just construction team. A lot of the property
just our staff alone, Balfour Beatty with the design builds, roughly we peaked out at 70 individuals on our staff. On average, the hotel, the last few months, we were averaging over 600 workers on site. And that's just for the hotel. The East Convention Center at one point was over 300. So it's been a really good thing for the community. Part of that also being is one of the programs that the county has is a program called County Business Enterprises. So what part of our goal was is to ensure that on the first phase, which included the expansion of the West, that we were over 30% of the contracts and dollars spent on the project actually was spent locally, right? With companies located in Broward County. I think these figures, they fluctuate a little bit, but we were over the 30% on the first phase. And then on the current phase with the East Convention Center and the hotel, the goal was 25% the current phase, and we are tracking, I believe it's actually over 30% right now. So it's the last update we received last month, so. Again, familiar with the property, you have the existing convention center that's located here, the hotel, the East Convention Center, the existing parking garage that serves the port and the convention center, and then this plaza area. So this was just some of the planning that went into, how were we gonna work around the existing convention center after it reopened in 2021. Obviously, we have members of the public, an event this weekend, I heard 16,000. So just being cognizant of working around, active properties was a huge thing for us. The fact that Disney Cruise Lines has Terminal 4 to the south of us, Princess has been operational in Terminal 2 for the extent of this, just coordination with port, coordination with convention center. It's been, I'm not gonna say challenging, it's been cool to see the interaction that we have with the different groups. So going back into just timeline, this is beginning of 2020. So at this point in the job, Market 17 was there. That got demolished. Terminal 1 was demolished. You can see our friend, the Sailfish Fountain, right? We'll get to him in a minute, but all of this was done preemptively to make way for the future expansion. So what's happening here is that you have an active convention center that we have started foundations. We've started some of the, call it shear walls and towers in anticipation to be able to demolish the existing and start expanding towards the west. The same thing with the Sailfish Fountain and the north third of this garage. We actually had to put him into storage and then demolish the northern third of this to make room for the East Convention Center. This is roughly 3 years later, right? At that point, we've now expanded the existing convention center. You can see here the mechanical equipment. That was what I had mentioned earlier about raising things up out of the flood elevation, getting all of the major expensive mechanical equipment, the generators, the main switch gear for the electrical, the chillers for the air conditioning. That's all now located up on the third floor, whereas before they were located in the northern third of the existing convention center where the hotel was located. So that's as we're coming up out of the ground, expansion's complete at that point.
Can you quickly go back to the previous picture? Yes. Can you quickly go back to the previous picture? Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, so recently I attended an event, a martial arts event for my son. The parking garage is the one that's all the way by the water. The one, no, that one, yes. In order to leave, and that was not the biggest event, it took probably an hour and a half because you have a 4 or 5 story structure that empties into one lane of traffic. Is there plans to change that, or is there some type of idea of how to alleviate traffic there?
Currently, not that I'm aware of. I do know that was because it was an existing garage that, part of it was to, you can see here, this is where it used to extend, and we've put new precast to prevent people obviously from driving off, but I'm not aware.
I mean, we're out, I mean, you just see that tiny little space
Yeah,
between the
just
convention
down here.
center and the other parking garage, and that dumps into one lane of traffic.
Can I further on the parking situation? And the captain brought it up. Those 2 parking garages are the 2 parking garages that service the convention center, okay? When there's a big event like like this weekend coming up, they divert people over to the Art Institute parking garage on the other side of 17th Street. It is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. It's gridlock. People get out of their cars with their suitcases and walk to the port. Okay, I've been there, all right? Is there any possibility of getting any more parking on this side?
So part of the hotel construction, you can kind of see it roughly here, within the podium of the hotel itself
Yeah.
is a parking garage dedicated to that. So that would serve as additional overflow.
Okay,
So individuals would be able to utilize that as well on site without having to go over 17th Street.
oh, great, thank God. All right.
So to this point, who is the lead manager or management once it's completed, once you guys are out of it? from the county or the Convention Visitors Bureau that we could work with to address these traffic problems.
Absolutely, and we'll touch a little bit on that in our presentation right after they're done.
Okay, thank you. So this picture was there, I mean, it was before.
Yeah, we'll get to the, so this is Friday, last Friday. So this is where we stand now. Obviously, again, CBB building that you can see, the hotel. We've got our roadways in, landscaping. If you drive by, I would say by this weekend, you'll see more trees and plantings that are along Grand Avenue there. The pool, we've got water in the pool. Chemicals are circulating, trying to get it nice and blue. Omni has started moving in. My understanding is the administrative offices on level 9, so they're starting to do their ramp up and they're hiring, and it's gonna be a couple months of getting the staff trained up, but you can see up here, the terrace, that's the view looking out. Again, level 10, where the pool deck, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, we're anticipating here within the next couple of weeks, Omni continues to ramp up. We'll be finishing up some of the punch list, some of the handful of areas that we're putting the final touch on. And then what you will see too is the plaza area. There's gonna be some ongoing construction. There's a restaurant that's located out there that's gonna be managed by Omni. That'll likely run a little bit into the 2026 calendar year, but the main plaza itself will be open. We're anticipating, later this year for everyone to be able to utilize, and hopefully for the boat show to be able to utilize.
Okay. Thank you.
Appreciate you all letting
Can
us.
I follow up real quick? Does you have that slide up? We don't have a good visual when I get up there. So this is the Heron Garage. This garage was actually built with the capacity to add 2 floors on top of that. So the county is looking at that as some alternative for the parking. And then you can see this flat lot out here. This is our marshalling yard for our large trucks that come in for our conventions. And there is some preliminary discussions and some studies being done right now about building, it's probably 5-story, 6-story garage out there that will be connected to the convention center. So when they park in this garage, they're just coming across on a skywalk. And also, I'll talk about it in just a second, but the bypass road would come here and it would actually kind of dump into that convention center garage that's there.
Yeah, because your conventioneers are gonna be like hysterical if they get caught in that good luck.
Yeah.
They're not gonna wanna come.
And once again, the bypass road, the problem there is you have traffic going into the courts because it was on the weekend. So you have passengers, about 20,000-30,000 passengers heading into the marina to like 10 boats. You have the traffic leaving the convention center that in order to get to the bypass road has to cross over traffic. I mean, it was a logjam in every direction.
Yeah, and with the bypass road not open yet, you're still dealing with some construction in that area as well, so. But I have good news on the bypass road.
Is there any update on the bypass schedule?
Yes.
That you would have?
Yes, absolutely. It's part of our presentation, but I'll go ahead and spill the beans now. They're actually ahead of schedule. They're a few weeks ahead of schedule, so they're talking about opening in October. So just a few months away.
Okay.
Brad, next one.
So you gotta pull up your presentation.
I have a question.
No, the bypass road.
Yes.
So we're gonna be building a new city hall. Will you be involved with that?
That's too
Are you getting involved in that?
In transparency, they have submitted an unsolicited when it was put out, and I believe submissions to the CFLCA. The city has at least 6 submittals, including ballot, yeah.
Well, you had me at on time, on budget.
Yeah.
We have submitted.
Well,
We've heard
we're doing
we've
the
had a
shift.
hard time with a couple of this content.
While we're doing the shift, presenters, on the agenda was the bylaw change. We are going to table that till next meeting to vote, because it's not critical and it's getting late, so just to speed up the meeting.
Just remember, Jim and I are getting tired.
Yeah, one more time.
I'm on a roll.
But we can start mentoring somebody. We can do that. Okay. Thank you. See you, Frankie.
Hi, Frankie.
Oh,
How was the?
Good evening,
Design
Candace
for
Orzel, I'm with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention and Visitors Bureau.
also known as Visit Lauderdale. And with me, I have Daphne Anderson from ASM Global. She is the operator out of the convention center. And then I also have Valerie Peru, and she is with Omni. So they'll also have some say in some of this. We'll try not to repeat too much of what they already said. But just as a quick overview, as they mentioned, it is about a $1.5 billion investment. We did have the west expansion. We now have a whole new east building. We added 2 ballrooms, 45 meeting rooms, an executive suite with 3 boardrooms. We say 6 acres, 7 acres, it's somewhere in the 6 to 7 acre plaza area. The Omni headquarters hotel, and not listed here is actually a new home for Visit Lauderdale, as they mentioned, which is out on the far corner behind the Omni there. So with that, I will turn it over to Valerie.
Good evening. Okay, so who was on that hard hat tour a few weeks ago? Okay, great. A few things have been already mentioned, so I'm gonna go quickly through my slides. But as it was mentioned, we have 801 guest rooms from the 11th floor to the 28th floor. And we have actually 82 suites and 2 presidential suites right here on the top 2 floors. One could be yours.
You can have a drawing, Valerie, for that?
Pretty large, about 1,700 square feet, but yes, funny Jackie. Having said that, on the 10th floor here, where you saw the pool earlier with the water, we have, this is the amenity floor. So ladies, we're gonna have an amazing spa, Makara Spa with 8 treatment rooms. And you'll be able to get your hair done and your nails done. So full service spa right here on the 10th floor. And right next door, we're gonna have a fitness center. And right here in the greatest where the parking garage is, by valet only, okay? And we also discussed meeting space, which is gonna be on the 2nd, 4th, and 6th floor. I mean, look at floor to ceiling windows, it's just gonna be a spectacular. Our largest ballroom is 30,000 square feet, and we actually have a patio that is outside overseeing the waterways. It's just amazing. For the ones who have not been on the hard hat tour, I definitely encourage you to, or you can wait till we open. We are going to be open in the fall of this year. Again, wait on time. Now, I know what you are.
Let me pause real quick there.
Pausing.
Hard hat tour. The ones that, if you've been, you can go again, but who has not been and would like to?
We offered the hard hat tour to District 4 since it's in their district as a trial run. And if anyone would like to join that tour, I'll reach out to you, Bill.
Okay, we'll send something out to all presidents and we'll get something scheduled. Okay,
Yeah, I'd like to go.
I'll email you, Bill, and we'll.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, restaurants. I know you're dying to know about what we're gonna have on the property. So right on the ground floor, we're gonna have a sports bar. It's gonna be called Fair Catch. It's gonna be dark. I mean, dark meaning black walls, dark fun, adults only. We're gonna have a couple of boards.
All right.
We're gonna have 2 tub golf suites as well. And just a lot of TVs. So that's gonna be a fun go. Great place for a cocktail, small bites. And as we are walking towards the waterways, we have a grab and go if you'd like to sit down for, have coffee and a croissant while you're looking at everybody networking, walking up and down the hallway in the lobby. Beautiful place. And we're gonna have a lobby bar inside an outdoor space, which is, we're gonna have a nice little fire pit. Just spectacular, overlooking the beautiful yachts passing by and the cruise ships. Adjacent to it, we're gonna have another restaurant called Beef 76. We're gonna be serving breakfast and dinner as well. And right on the plaza, and you'll see that in a couple more slides, the water, right by the water, we're gonna have an Omni standalone restaurant managed by Omni. It's going to be called Barchetta. This is gonna be a Italian chop house with white linen. So it's gonna be our fancy restaurant. So we just cannot wait. And lastly, we're gonna have the Ibis rooftop bar perched on the 29th floor here, indoor and outdoor, with a retractable roof. It's just gonna be spectacular. Amazing views, as Jim mentioned earlier. So we cannot wait to open and to welcome you to the property.
Okay, thank you.
It's very competitive in the convention business and, you know, Orlando ran out and built a nice big ballroom. The legend has it that the reason it's 801 rooms is because Miami's plan had 800. And Howard said, no, hold my beer, we're gonna do 801. That's what the legend is, but.
Okay,
All
right, thank you.
Convention Center East, Daphne, I'll let you take over the next couple of slides.
Hello, everyone. I'm Daphne Anderson, Director of Sales and Marketing at the Convention Center with ICE Global, working partner with the Omni. Just let you know, just to touch base a moment on the hardware tour. If you come to see the Omni and you want to see the Convention Center, that's open the conversation as well. So once you come, you can also see the East. So ready to open in fall 2025. Very exciting because the Convention Center district has completely changed lately. I've been with the Convention Center about 8 years, so I see it growing, going through different renovation, and when it was closed and the pandemic, and then it will reopen. We closed, as Tom said, we closed with the boat show and we reopened with the boat show. We opened with this amazing 65,000 square feet of space. Overlooking the water, so it's the only convention center in South Florida that has a water view overlooking the intercoastal, and it has such a large convention center hotel connected to the convention center. I'm gonna move forward. We already spoke about the plaza, what we're gonna be able to do in the plaza moving forward. Events, opening reception is open to the community, is a new center that doesn't exist anything similar to in South Florida. So the space is also, we're gonna have a restaurant with the Omni, an amphitheater with 9,000 square feet. This area over here, 35,000 feet of space with the anchor already pre-set on the floor for a tent, so for cover event. We also have space over here to do an additional events. Hopefully, this is gonna be again used for boat show as a first time. Is a sharing space with the Omni, so now a combination of events can be brought to the plaza. And go to next slides. Bypass road.
I'm coming back to you.
Yeah.
All right, so bypass road, this is kind of a crude drawing here. But the green down in the corner there, that kind of represents where US 1 and State Road 84 meets, Angler Boulevard starts. Then you travel east on the yellow line, and it does make a curve. It does not make a hard right turn. It's a curve, and then it kind of it joins you onto Eisenhower right about at the security checkpoint that's there. The advantages, there are no security checkpoints when you're on the bypass road. There's 2 stoplights. That's a selling point for us from the airport to the convention center. So now it's a 9-minute commute. When you get off your plane, you can get to your convention. And it's saving about a 20 to 30 minute shorter commute. Obviously, you guys know the route very well, but it's 5 fewer stoplights that clientele have to get through to get to the convention center from the airport.
Isn't there a checkpoint right here off the 84 past Federal?
Yeah, but
bypass
the
is-
bypass road is gonna be set up to bypass that security checkpoint. Because once you're on the bypass road, it's a one stop. You're not getting off anywhere, and it's elevated.
Okay.
So let me show you. These are a little small to see, but this is, I'm standing down kind of southwest here, and I'm looking northeast. So the convention center is up in the corner there. And it curves a little bit there. So here, I'm actually standing with my back to the water on the one on your right. And it's elevated. And so when you come off of US 1, if you're a trucker, you're getting into the security lane and you're bypassing the bypass road. If you're just trying to get to Eisenhower, you actually get right onto the bypass road, no stopping.
And that'll be ready in October as well.
Yes.
So is it true that you don't get your certificate of occupancy until the bypass road opens? I heard that somewhere.
I have heard that too, for the Omni, but, Rob, do you wanna mention it? I didn't even introduce you, Rob, I'm sorry.
Rob.
Borough County Public Works, we've spoken about that, Marilyn and I.
Hi.
Before. When you read the detail of it, the idea is that the bypass road should be open prior to the final completion of the hotel. Final completion is beyond substantial completion, so we can open up the hotel prior to the bypass being open. But as we said before, the bypass road is on schedule, it's ready to be open in early October. Very good shape.
And I apologize for not introducing Rob, but he's kind of the spine of our book in the construction.
We're playing the temporary certificate of occupancy game, but it works, it works.
So kind of like, how do we build a nice big campus that we have? So I'm gonna turn it over to Daphne to kind of address some of that.
All right, so now we're seeing this convention center as being $1.2 billion. So there's a lot of investment. So who sells the convention center? How we promote the destination? So we have a task force in place to sell the convention center. First of all, the Visit Lauderdale, CVB. There's a team of 9 exceptional sales managers. They go out there, they promote the convention center, they do outreach, they work on, right now, actually, a team is in one of the largest association trade show in Los Angeles. So we go out there and we sell this beautiful property. We also have the CVB Sports, Visit Lauderdale, the sporting department. Sports is a large market for South Florida. The athletes that you see, your son participating. We have the largest basketball competition in the United States. About 60,000 athletes come through the convention center in June. We also host the largest AAU martial arts in July. So we just hosted several of those, a lot of volleyball. So sports is a large business. Of course, Omni, the partner selling the convention center. Now we are strong on with corporate Omni and local Omni team. And of course, SN Global. I'm part of the SN Global, the largest management company for event venues. We have about 350 venues throughout the world. Convention center in the United States, about 65. So to go back to the parking, the personal information, I mean, talking to other convention center, we are all have bi-weekly meeting with our convention center and we see what we can do better to work together. Only about 3 or 4 convention center has enough parking for their conventions. Of course, so we have a lot of parking compared to other convention centers. So this is not a unique situation. A lot of convention centers face the same issue. There's not much real estate around us right now. However, the effort in the meantime, the bypass road is built. We send out traffic alert through our social media. We're happy to share our flyer with you guys, with your website. Always there is something. It comes out about a week or 2 weeks before based on a large event. And we always make sure that the community is informed if there is a lot of traffic coming our way. And of course, they follow the community, other hotels. We sell the experience. So the restaurants, the hotel, we all sell the convention center. We all sell the destination. I'm gonna go to the next slides. Okay, so where are we going? When I started, I remember I was in event service and moved to sales. So we were selling very small conventions. We have a smaller footprint. We could sell conventions for 800, maybe 1,000 attendees. Now our focus is the large convention. We're gonna host IPW, which is the largest powwow for travel agency in 2026. We have 6,000 attendees participating. So imagine we started with 800, we're at 6,000. What does it mean? Enormous economic impact to the destination. So we focus, as I said, we focus on the largest impact coming towards our way for economic impact. When we reopened it after pandemic, we had a lot of sporting events coming our way because those kids were eager to start and be out there again. So we started with a lot of sports. However, our goal is to focus on the convention center and the use of the hotels, means tax, and money to the destination. So eventually we'll go more towards trade show. They have the convention component and go a little bit less on sports. However, sports will be a very large part of our market as well. So great news, we have booked an event secured in the calendar until 2035. So through 2035, we already have booked definite events on the calendar. It means secure business is in place. We have been always saying we're opening, we're under construction. Now, finally, we are no more under construction. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Now the message has switched.
So now we're opening, we're counting literally the days. So we are getting a lot of more RFP, which is request for a proposal. They really want to put their fee, they want a piece of pie. So we are really moving forward to getting more larger convention and RFP. We opened 2 international thanks to the airport, opening much larger traffic of international flights. We are the Sea Trade, which is the largest cruise line convention in the world. Of course, we still have smaller events. We welcome all events. It's based on booking window. We focus a lot on medical, financial events, because that's where really the money is that we went to the destination. We also have opened in new markets that didn't exist before: AI, tech, marketing, all those new conventions that are coming our way is a new market for us. So we're also exploring this new market. So this gives you an idea. I'm not going to go over the numbers, but it gives you an idea of the room nights that we have. That means beds and beds for hotels. So as I said, we started at 800. Look at the numbers that we have right now. So those are what we have in the books and what we're going even more after. So I don't know if we have the slides of the hotel area. We're gonna probably get there. I'll show you what walking distance hotel we have within the area, whether 3 miles or 6 miles. So we have some challenge. The convention center has some challenge. We have competitors. However, because of the Omnia, because of the new expansion, now we're part of tier 1. So we were part of tier 2. We're competing against Palm Beach, Charlotte, smaller convention center. Now we're part of tier 1. That means we are right below Orlando. We're competing a lot with Miami Beach. And we compete with within the 10 largest convention centers in the United States. So we think we should be very, very proud of this number, because only SA Global is running 65, but also other companies. So we are in the top 10 largest convention centers. So we have, those are some other, Austin, Dallas, those are the convention center that compete with us. Miami is building a new Hyatt Grand, 800 rooms, like we said, but they're gonna go through construction. So in this time frame, hopefully, we're gonna have some relocation. They stay with us and find Browers their new home.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the entire state of Texas right now is under construction for a headquarter hotel. We're a little ahead of that trend, but in 2028, they'll be knocking on the doors of our clients. So we've got to stay ahead of that competitive.
We're trying to secure those events before they book once hotels reopen.
Wouldn't your competitor be like the Hard Rock?
Well, Hard Rock is much smaller. We don't see Hard Rock and Diplomat. We don't see them as a competitor. We don't go after sister property, the same Broward. If the clients decide that they're growing too much for the Hard Rock or for the Diplomat and they want to come to us, we cannot say no. We have a larger footprint. However, we don't go after any piece of business that can take business away from Broward hotels.
And then for your largest convention that you have, you can't accommodate them all in this hotel, can you?
No. So
can we expect more traffic on the beach and Sea Bridge? And things like that?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Excuse me. So this hotel, I'm smelling something. For 2028, a political convention?
No,
Why not?
I think it's already booked.
It's already booked?
I think so.
Yeah. Sure?
I'm not sure, but I would assume. But it's a nice
Instead of going to Miami, I think Fort Lauderdale could put the bid in for something. I'm speaking from a political point of view.
That's their job.
That's above their pay grade right now.
Whatever.
But a nice thought.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Think big. Think big. Trust me, sister. Think big. I work for the property appraiser's office. Think big.
We did. It was a little too political, but yes, we.
Don't worry about that.
So here we go. We are in this area, so the convention center within the Harbordale area. We have about 1,400 on peaks, between 1,200, 1,400, thanks to the Harmony now really, the games has changed. Walking distance across the street, we also have the Hilton, the Renaissance, the Embassy Suite down the street, the Hyatt. Now, when we are large, we have to accommodate larger convention centers. Now we're gonna go to the beach area, the Ocean, Lagomar, and Harbor Marriott down the street, and all these hotels around here. We need more rooms. If you have friends in hotel, tell them, we need more rooms. We need more rooms because we're competing with some leisure cruise line. They stay here 2 nights and it's a high season in the winter. So yes, we need hotels to work with us because we have plenty of business for everyone. We just need to make sure that we get those rooms. And then 2,000 on peak, if we go more between 6 and 8 miles out within the Broward County, usually conventioners don't want to commit too far, that more than 8 miles, because then we got a good in transportation, bus, shuttles, and then it's getting a little bit more complicated.
To put it in perspective, in Tampa, 81% of their hotel rooms are within walkable distance. So that's kind of what we're up against, but we get creative. So we contract with motor coaches to be able to transport them and keep the cars off the street. We are using or utilizing the water taxi a lot more, and we're gonna hopefully increase our use of that as well. So hotels that are in that North Beach area, they can jump on a water taxi and they can be to the convention center pretty quickly, plus it adds to the guest experience. A lot of these people coming in never even thought about a water taxi, now they get to go to the meeting in a water taxi. So it kind of elevates the guest experience.
Will policing there be done by the sheriff's department?
And the police at the convention center?
Yeah.
So we are between BSO, Broward, and Fort Lauderdale, FLPD. So streets on 17 and traffic on 17 is FLPD. So it's police.
Yeah.
And Broward County Convention Center is BSO because we are in the jurisdiction of the port.
Right. Okay, and in that respect, the operation is gonna be key here. Because as you say, you don't have enough parking. It's gonna be a little crazy, a lot crazy, but that means there has to be police presence on the street from 9 o'clock in the morning till, it's over, because I've seen conventions where the cops don't show up, no offense. They don't show up till 12 o'clock and it's already gridlock, so you've gotta work with the local police to make sure that in the beginning, as soon as everybody starts arriving, there are police there who will stop the gridlock, keep people moving, keep them out of the wrong lanes. So you have to put the little bollards out. Operations is gonna be the key, because you have physical constraints. Operations is the only way to overcome it.
Say, it's my understanding, and I'm pretty positive, there are ongoing discussions between the chief of police and the sheriff about traffic management and who's going to be responsible for what.
It's the only way.
And they're going to put more accountability on the county.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and you need a Brooklyn water bagels. And here, let me tell you why. Because all those conventionaires go down 17th Street to my Einstein's Bagels, and it's bombs. So you need a bagel place.
Okay, let's build one right there at the entrance to your. All in favor, say aye. Thank you very much. Very quickly, we're gonna table, the bylaw changes.
No, I will send them out to everybody again. I will not be here at the next meeting, so I'll work out some.
I can get someday.
Yeah, you guys can manage it.
Charter update, Jim, Cliff Note version. Oh, we're gonna, okay. Wow. Cliff Notes.
The Charter Revision Board met this past week, and you all remember we did a presentation back in May. And that presentation was really focused on doing an outreach program to the whole community so that people could understand what the heck this charter thing is and get involved and have public input. Well, as of late, at the last meeting, it was announced that the city commission has put a hold on that. So there's not any forward plans to do the outreach. There's board is having a memo sent to the commission asking for direction from the commission to determine if they want to do the outreach, how they want to do the outreach. It's very frustrating for all of us that are participating on the board and for everybody that really feels strongly that the outreach is really critical for any revisions to the charter. Remember, the charter will go, the charter revision board recommendations go to the commission. They review that, they make a decision about which ones would be appropriate to put on a ballot, and that becomes a ballot referendum. So everybody gets to vote on that, the next election. The glitch is deciding what's going to be on that ballot and what the commission is going to approve to be on the ballot. And at this point, we're still looking for some direction from the commission to determine if the recommendations that have already been brought forward are acceptable, or even more important, what they want to do with the outreach program, and if they want the board to move forward and do more analysis and more revisions to the charter. Because when we talk about revisions, in some cases, it's a word. So as an example, they'll change a single word in a paragraph, and that change could take 45 minutes of discussion to arrive in the correct word. And that's all because of legal considerations that the assistant city attorney, he weighs in on, he's a part of the process. So there's a lot of legal dialogue going back and forth between the board members who are not attorneys, other than the chair, and the city attorney. So with that, we still don't know what's going to happen. It's probably going to be resolved at the September 3rd commission meeting. A representative from the board, it's going to be Mary Peliquin, is going to be presenting everything that we've talked about so far to the commission to see what they want to do to get that guidance from them. The memo hasn't gone out yet, I don't believe, no. So the memo will go out, there'll be a discussion about that, and Mary will be doing presentation to determine where we go, where the board goes next. I'm not officially on the board. So that's really where we are right now. It's kind of a wait and see at this point. So, you know, we got everybody excited about the outreach program, and unfortunately, it's on hold right now. We're hoping to be able to get some really clear definition from the commission on the path forward.
Okay, thank you. And I think there needs to definitely get that clear communication direction, because if things end up on the ballot referendum, they're limited to only 70 words, is it?
Yeah, 30
Yeah.
minutes, right.
On the ballot.
So
So how can you explain something in 70 words? It's how many changes are gonna be?
well, there's multiple sections in the charter that were requested by the city commission to review and change. A lot of it, as I said, is a word change or updating it to a more current language. Some of it is shrinking the language so that the language is more digestible for somebody who's looking at it and trying to review it. More digestible if it goes on the ballot as it's written. There's been a lot of discussion, both this board and the previous board, about how many questions would go on the ballot. Can you combine the questions so that, again, you're looking at a ballot, you've got multiple things that come way before a referendum, and people get to the end and there's a referendum and their eyes glass over and they either ignore it or they just check the easiest thing that comes to mind, which is not really it's really dangerous because the charter is the constitution for the city. So it's very, very important that the wording is correct, that it's easy for somebody to understand who's in a voting booth and has come to the whole long list of ballot questions and ballot choices. So 70 words, no more than, we've kind of arrived at no more than 3 questions, but we don't know where that's gonna go yet. So there's a lot of work that goes into this process. The board had a meeting in July, on July the 9th, that started at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, went to 2:30. It was supposed to be 2 days. But again, going through each single charter item, reviewing the wording, reviewing how relevant that information is, because the last time it was changed was 2018. So reviewing how relevant that information is to today, to the current state of affairs, to the current environment the city's existing in. So there's a lot of moving parts.
Okay. Thank you. Moving along, Marilyn.
Oh, I'm gonna be even quicker. P3. Just for a little bit of historical context, the council has been involved in this P3 rewrite, the P3 ordinance for the city of Fort Lauderdale for so many years now that some of the members of the committee have moved on and some of them have unfortunately passed on. That's how long we've been doing this.
It's not a lie.
No, it's not a lie. But we are now at a point where we have a second draft P3 ordinance proposal from the city's attorney. The first proposal, the first draft, we went through it in great detail as a committee with the city attorney. I think it was March of 2023, we had a presentation. March 19 of 2024, we had a big presentation at a conference meeting on P3. And I mean, we had like, graphics with little blue buttons, and we had a terrific conversation with the commission. Must have been a half an hour, more than a half an hour conversation. And we thought we were there. We thought we were close. We were gonna start moving. But unfortunately, because there were things going on in Tallahassee, changes to the state statute, we were stalled. And we stalled for over a year now. But now we're back with the second draft proposal. And it will be on the agenda on August 19th at the conference meeting. I have looked it over. I have, given it a first look. I had some questions still about what they were proposing. But I think our strategy at this point, because they have not asked us to weigh in anymore, as a matter of fact, they have said, thank you very much for your input. And we'll see you on August 19th and we'll, make this presentation. I think we'll listen. We'll answer some of the questions that we still have about what it is, and then we'll be able to say, okay, now the second draft does some of the things we talked about, doesn't do some of the things we talked about, and we'll be able to give meaningful input into the process. I will just say quickly, that for my first look, there's some pros here. There are some improvements that have been made, and there are some things that have not been fixed. And I won't go into them tonight because we're all trying to get home, but that will be part of our discussion later on when we start talking about the details and what does it mean and what is really saying, et cetera, and what is our position gonna be. So come on August 19th and listen. We're just gonna be listening. What did you mean when you said this? What does this mean? Okay, and then we'll be in a position to provide some meaningful feedback. So that's my presentation.
And I don't foresee them taking any action that day.
Oh, no, it's the conference meeting. No, that's a conference.
But one thing that we still want to strive for, I think it's safe to say, is the amount of transparency that we can get is what's the most important.
Right, yeah, and then they've made some improvements, but some things are still not, I mean, they are not providing the kind of transparency and the kind of discussion, the meat of what we asked them for. The meat of what we asked them for has not been incorporated yet into the proposal. They're making progress, and we could easily add some of that meat in at the next round of our discussions with them, if they will have a next round of discussion with us.
I think they will.
I pretty think they will, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer's report.
All right, I'll try to be quicker than you.
Oh.
$5,532, slight increase from last month. If you haven't paid your annual membership, there's still time. If you want to be a sponsor, there's still time.
Oh, we have a sponsor. We have a sponsor.
I'm sorry? Oh, no, he actually was our first sponsor.
Okay, oh,
Do you wanna, so we actually have a sponsor in the room. Yeah, I know, he didn't want to, but
I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Who are you?
stand up and introduce yourself.
My name is Jared Galis. I'm born and bred. I'm the only guy I think that's like older than the dirt here is probably Ted. I'm a real estate broker, live in Kristen Park and have, like I said, born and raised in South Florida. So love where I am, happy to, do it and sponsor you guys and,
Thank you.
I'm here and, do what I can to, help the community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Quickly, approval of the minutes from meeting was it June?
That would have been May.
May. Do I have a motion? All in favor, raise your hand.
Hi.
Okay. Old business none, good of the order. I know one item and then we'll adjourn.
So I'm gonna make it very quick. As you all know, I'm a physician. I've worked here in Broward County now for 20 years. More recently, I've been spending some attention looking at the millage rate, especially the millage rate for the North Broward Health District. If you compare the North Broward Health District millage rate, it's 1.326. If you look at the South Broward Health District, it's 0.0937. Simply because we have the honor of living in the North Broward District, we're paying about 50% more in our millage rate. Nobody's gonna argue that the South Broward District is deficient, if anything, quite to the contrary. So my question is, at what point are we gonna say as citizens of the North Broward District that, they need to get their act together and maybe, tightening their belt a little bit, like we have seen in the South District. The North District has been spending an inordinate amount of money on real estate, especially around the hospital. They have no strategic plans for that. The hospital is half empty. Patients in this geographic area are either shooting out to Holy Cross or shooting on to a Memorial. Why? I mean, these are all valid questions, and I don't think that we should be sponsoring their incompetency at getting their act together. Maybe, we need to start looking as a council to recommend decreasing the millage rate for the North Broward District so it functions appropriately. And I don't know if the council has an appetite for that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How are we the North Broward District and the north is the South Broward District?
No, so up to
How's
State
that
Road
work?
84 is the North District. Beyond State Road 84, it's the South District.
Going down.
State Road
Going
84
down,
is-
yeah.
So we're
Oh,
North
instead of
Broward
going,
District, and we're paying about 50%
Got it.
more.
Gotcha.
Millage rate. So I don't know if this is something the council has any appetite in, but I decided to bring it up. I mean, everybody has to look at their finances, the city, fire and rescue, police. I think it's time for the district to do the same thing.
So do we know when the public hearing is? Is it before our next membership?
It's before, it's the non-ad valorem discussion, which is in October, I believe.
And the millage rate has not changed since over 17 years.
18 years.
Yeah, no, actually, it came down. The North Broward came down last year by a hair.
The city millage rate.
Never
Yeah, no,
has
no,
not
but we're
changed.
talking about the hospital.
Okay, so I'm talking about the city.
Yeah,
Yeah, that hasn't changed.
So we have time to bring this as a discussion for the next meeting?
I think so, yes.
Okay, let's do that, and then we can formulate a statement. And then we'll designate someone that can attend that public hearing. Okay, okay, very good. Next membership meeting is September the 9th here. The board meets on the 25th via Zoom. Any other thing, business, good welfare? I have 9:41, meeting adjourned.
Meeting's adjourned.
8:31, 8:31, stand corrected, sir.
Don't say 9:41, my little boss man. We'll see. That's right.